right, to just jump right in, some of you may not know what I'm doing here and what the project is. And so just to give a reminder, this is a 1969 Volkswagen restoration, and it actually was completed in about September, October 2024. And it was a 4-year project, so it's wrapped up by the time you watch this, maybe 4 or 5 months. And so now I'm just going back and kind of compiling all my footage that I took and posted on Instagram, and we're putting it on YouTube so that this is a better place for it to kind of, a good space for it to live so it can be searchable, maybe help some people in their own restoration projects. And just a little bit about me is that I'm new to this. This is my first restoration project. This is the first time I've done this. And so what you're seeing, it's less of a how-to and more of a how I managed to do it. If you're looking for professional advice and maybe a professional how-to, there are other videos for that. This is just, I'm just sharing what I did and how it worked and how it ended up. And so I know that will be valuable to a lot of people who are just kind of in the process of doing this themselves. So yeah, just take this however you want. It's not really a how-to. It's just showing how I did it. And maybe it'll help you. Maybe you'll get some insights, what to do and what not to do. But yeah, just take it for what it is. A little bit of entertainment, a little bit of just, follow along with the process. And you'll get to kind of see the whole thing unfold over the next several weeks, probably a year or more. So I got lots of content. So what we're seeing here is that rear package tray corner. And that's where everything kind of converges in that corner. You got the wheel well, cross member, package tray. So there's lots happening here. And I've already done it once on the other side. That's in another episode. And so by the time I got here, I had some practice. And at this point, I think I'd been metalworking for... I don't know, I'd been metalworking for maybe about 6 months. Not super full-time, but out in the garage probably about every day, metalworking. And I will say that by this point, things were getting more comfortable. And so that's just a kind of a manifestation of practice makes proficient. It's not going to make perfect, but we get more proficient as we're practicing. So if you're starting out and your welds are doing bad, or you're having struggles with fitting panels and things like that, just know that the more you practice, you're just going to get better at it. So just stick with it. And one thing worth mentioning is that welding is really quite a slow process, especially with sheet metal. I don't think we realize we see it on YouTube a lot and it's like da-da-da-da and then it's done. But the reality is that welding sheet metal is a really slow process. You're going to want to kind of tack it in one little tack at a time, jump around the panel, cool your panel. You'll minimize warpage and things like that. Now, some people will agree and disagree with that, but I do think if you put way too much heat into the panel, you are going to have some problems down the line with it warping. Depends on the panel as well. Like an outside quarter panel, definitely. There's lots of flat surface there. You'll get some warping. So just take it slow, and it's not a fast process. You're going to do like 5 or 6 tacks jumping around the panel, and then you're going to go with some compressed air and try and like cool it down. Again, some people may disagree. Just do the research, find out what works for you, and just stick with what you think is working best. You'll also see that I am hammering sort of the panels in a little bit. There is a little bit of hammering that you can do. So you put your weld in and it heats up the panel. You can kind of form it on where you're trying to weld it. Now just be careful with that, because remember you're hammering on a panel that is warm now and more pliable. So the more you hammer on it, the more it'll deform. So just be careful. You might want to get like, what do they call them? A dolly behind there to make sure you're not super deforming anything that's happening there. But there is a fair amount of tapping you can do to help form your panels to make like a tight sort of like, especially if you're doing plug welds. A tight little surface, everything's married up really tight, because that's what you want. And so there is a fair amount of hammering that you can do, but just beware that you have to be careful, because you're dealing with hot metal, hot panel, way more pliable. So just be careful when you're hammering. You'll also see I'm going back. It's not obvious to see, but you'll spend a lot of time going back to and finding where your pinholes are. Because as you weld, inevitably there will be some places where you just kind of missed a little bit. So you're going to have to go back and fill those pinholes. And the easiest way to do that, or at least the way I did it, and I don't show it in the videos, you just get a little bit of light behind the panel and you'll see them really easy. Circle them, and then you just fill them. And just one last thing, just remember to cover your bare metal. We're working at trying to get rid of rust. So after you're done with your welding and stuff like that, it's a really good idea to treat it with something. You can treat it with other things, but paint is the easiest. Throw paint on there, you have it protected, then you don't have to worry about things rusting in the meantime, because this is going to be a process. Like for metalwork, I think I metalworked for 13 months. And so I can't leave things in bare metal for 13 months. They'll flash rust. So just be mindful as you go. As soon as you finish a little section, treat it with something that is going to keep the rust away. And that can be any number of things. And I'll let you guys think about what you want to do with that. But paint is pretty easy. Yeah, and so that's it for this episode. This is the, if you want to go see what I did with the other side, that's in a previous episode. It did not go as well as this one. But again, we're learning as we go. But just keep coming back, because I'm going to have loads more of episodes of metalwork, and we're going to get all the way through to the end, and I think you're really going to like it. Okay, I'll answer a question right off the bat. Why did I primer it? Well, to protect the bare metal until I can strip the whole car of paint and seal it properly. So question number one out of the way that I know someone will ask. I put some just cheap primer down just to protect the bare metal. But that's what it's looking like right now. Ground down the welds. Doesn't look super pretty or anything, but you have to remember that this is all under a back seat. So I don't really care what it looks like under there. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Seam sealer on it, great. And then out here, same thing, just ground down the welds. Now, once I strip the whole car in paint, so whole car is gonna get stripped down to bare metal, more body work will happen. So some filler back here, get rid of that seam that you see, especially here. You don't want that on your quarter panel. But we're gonna call this section finished. And then next up is we've got a whole bunch of B-pillar repair, seatbelt mount and all that stuff. And I get so many views and so many comments when I go and fabricate stuff that this is gonna be, I think, a lot of fun. So hang on to your hats.